Good morning, good day to you. As usual, whenever and wherever you listen to this, it is Knowledge Seekers from Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. We welcome you back, and as usual, we carry on with the expansion of the knowledge. There is a lot of mysteries around our historical data and materials around us, which, like the intro of what we heard today from last week, when we speak about the churches, you have to understand, if you go around Europe, if you look at the church, as we said before, and look at the top window of the church, all the churches have a window. You see it from more or less four sides. There's a pattern to this, and none of these are the same. If Rick goes and pick up some of the big churches and show us, we see there's a secret in these windows. And if you live in some cities in Europe, you see one church within a few 100 meters of another church. And some churches are literally built next to each other. But go back and into the history of these cities, we don't see certain illnesses in these cities, in these villages. I used to live in a small town, village like in Italy. And in such a small village, there were 4 or 5 churches. And I always said, because, okay, we live by the sea, people were very, very religious. They go to fish, come back. They want to come back alive. And they gave a third of their income or whatever to the church, that they, have a good fishing and come back alive. But if you look into the structure of the churches, the windows of the churches, you see something very, very interesting. Let me pick up. This is what has been picked up by. If you go back up, go back. Oh, go down. Go down the way you're going. Go down. Stop there. Have a look at the third picture on the right, or the fourth picture on the right, with 2 circles, 2 different circles, one black and one white. Pick this up and bring it up. Or there's some others underneath of it. Just screenshot it, Rick, and put it back up.
Which one are you looking at?
Any of the right, yeah, there were your things. Then the one next to each other and the one in the bottom. Yeah, these 2, yeah, and the one underneath of it. Pick these pictures up and no. Yeah, go further down. Pick that picture up. And there was another picture in your screen. Anyway, just pick these up, or that we can talk about on the basis. Yeah, that's the one. Just pick these pictures up. If you look at these in the churches, people never understood what this means. It's the science, knowledge, and yep, the one beneath it. These are all churches. Church of windows. We go and admire their beauty, but if you understand the science, none of them were built for beauty to show you. These patterns, these shapes were correlated, matched with the bell. All the bells from the churches were taken away by the order of Vatican, and then there are the churches. Early last century, because when it came to Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, they understood, they bribed, they paid Vatican to take The bells are the churches. Why? Now we have the knowledge. Now man, knowledge, advanced technology has advanced so much that if you take these pictures, copy them, then put a pot of water or a flat surface of water and add frequencies to it. It'll match every single one of these shapes according how you created the frequency. Frequency is a magnetic field in motion when it meets resistance, and he has to go through it, and he finds his wiggle around. That's what the frequency in the world of science of the cosmology is. So when you tune a frequency to water, you get these shapes. And you find out each shape matches certain illness. Which means when the church bell went, it cured its citizens who could hear it. There's an old saying in English, if you're a Londoner, they said the true Londoner is those who can hear the Bow bell. Bow is the bell which was in East London, and you're a true Londoner because you work in the docks. But you find out that churches were healing points. The frequency that the bell created shows in the picture was for certain illnesses. That's why we didn't have such illnesses. Now, today, we get pharmaceuticals injecting us. The churches, those who were the ancestors of us, found the secret, know the secret. You see the same construction in Egypt. Pyramids create certain frequencies, bring certain emotion. And in early last century, Rockefeller and those who understood, they took this out. The bells were taken out. New bells have no relationship to the pattern which is on it. And if you make a frequency on the water which matches this, it tells you which illness, which emotion this will touch. Then this comes to much deeper understanding, that you have to understand how to handle this, how to understand this. There is a secret in the world of pottery. One of my companies years ago was involved in these kind of things. But just stop there. On the right hand side, you see this green multicolor one. If you're an antique collector, or if you understand your home, not the new cups and saucers. If you go to churches, you see they used to use specific glasses for drinking or giving water to. The new silver things are new. The royal families, the rich people, never drank in the same cup as commoners did. Especially look into blue shade, look into the green shade cups, look into the red cups, which the royals were given. Even the children at birth were given milk or water or whatever out of these glasses. Reason, they knew the science. And now we bring in the same science back in the cups and what do you call it, soaps and everything else, but it's not far from what has been done for centuries when man has been raised from the history of man. If you see a green cup made 200, 300, 400 years ago, buy it, hold it. These cups, these glasses, They didn't have colors the way we have today. They're made by natural minerals which created these colors. Green is uranium-based, nuclear-based energy. You don't contaminate yourself. You get so much excess energy that does not allow no illness in the body of the man. When you hear about a cup of life we created and all the mayhem people try to cover it, is the knowledge of the universe. This knowledge was given to man thousands of years ago. Why the man of medicine of the kings always carried certain glasses and whatever? Because they were told, they understood, when you drink from the green cup, it gives you this. When you drink from the red cup, it gives you blood circulation, increases the red blood cells. To you, you just drink the water. To man of the medicine of the time, they knew the secret of creation. The same, what you see on the screen in the different color shade is what you see in space. You see light, you don't see a man, you don't see a creature. We see the soul of the man. What is the intention of that light? Go back to the teachings of 4 or 5 years ago when I explained this. Now you understand it. What emanates from the soul tells me what's the intention of physicality by the color. But understanding what it carries, a green to me is the energy I need to survive any, whatever you call viruses in the space. The red is for interaction, for increasing the dimension of the fields of the higher strength. This is what the man needs to be educated. This is why we had told you from a few weeks ago, the new cycle of teaching is to bring man to understand how to interact with the universal community. The talk of today is the world order, new world order. The teaching of today is the universal order. As I said to one of our very close friends from Australia, she said to me, globalists are taking over. I said, no, darling. The universalists are teaching to bring man to community of the universe. This is the purpose of the teaching. Rules of the universe as we take man out of his globalist village of earth. And the secret of knowledge has been with the man, has been taught to the man, and over time has disappeared because man did not create the level of communication of today that every man will be equal. Villages, cities, towns, or whatever kept it to themselves and made it a position of power through what they call clergy. The biggest enemy of the man has been those who hide in these buildings, because before it was where the refuge was. Next time when you pass a church, next time when you listen to a bell of a church, you know what you've been stolen from. What was supposed to be, which is on the mirror work, and what you hear, which is taken from you to reflect it. In the dimension of the universal work, when you travel the span of universe, the intention of the light, the intention of the observation of the light is indication of your existence. When you see the pure light, it's an indication of the Creator and His dimension. Because is what everything else has been rejected and what stays pure. The color we see is the color which has been rejected. What it comes out of goes back to the teaching of last week, when, and the teaching of the week before, when I put the 3 layers of the skin, the 3 layers of neutron, proton, and electron, the 3 layers of the soul of the man. The Maghreb system we gave you, there is no difference. Now you understand the totality of the work is in understanding the work of the creation, not just for man to be and to take what he likes the way he likes. Man will only understand, see, feels, and everything else to do with the dimension of the creation and nothing else. And in fact, you cannot do anything if you do not understand, you do not work within the dimension of the creation and what it brings you that dimension. You have to understand the totality of the system which is in front of you indicates what a man will see, what a man has to see, what a man needs to share to see. And this will bring a new dimension to what we call the knowledge of creation. You got to understand, in totality of the knowledge of creation, man has no choice but to work within the structure of the creation. On the planet Earth, you consume matters, you consume materials of the air, the water, and everything else to keep your life going. In a space, you need fields. You need to understand the work of the fields. You need to be able to connect with the field of the universe to exist. And for you to understand that, you have to look at the dimension of energy, magnetic field in motion, than the matter state of manifestation. When in the dimension of the man's world, we speak about the electron and proton and neutron and atom. In the dimension of energy, we speak about one, which is the common denominator energy which all 3 can exist. Which is the light, because it has no physicality. Interaction of the fields within a proton, with the interaction of the fields within neutron and within proton, creates a new dimension, which is the energy, but with no dimension. But in interacting with each other, they create a new dynamic cell, which we call it the star formation, where the base 3 are made, and in interaction of them, base 4 is created. This is where, in the knowledge of the universe, as I said in the past teaching, that 4th base is the light, where the other 3 are matter entity. This is why the world of science does not understood the difference between the light, photons, and matter state. Why sometimes light is a photon and sometimes light is a ray and the rest of it. Because when we see that nothing left, there is no energy, is the time when the common denominator, fourth level energy, which we call the top of the star formation, is operating. The field is so big that the neutron and electron and proton are inside it. And when the field is weak, you feel the energy, warmth, target that it releases energy. And when the world of science understands the difference between why sometimes is photon and why sometimes is particle, the way I explain now, then this opens a new dimension. This is why on the dimension of matter state, you're a UFO. In the dimension of the energy, you become that light. With the UFO, it takes you, according to those 10,000 light years, in the dimension of energy, instantaneous and continuous. And this is what, as knowledge seekers, you have to understand. As the world of science have to understand. And then once you understand this, the colors make sense. Speed. Why suddenly you see light in the dark? How come Earth suddenly has a light on it and we have a daylight, but the whole space is dark? In the book number 2, I explain this in a very clear way, speaking about translucent light. But you can see through, but has no tangibility, has no dimension. You look in the dark, you see the stars in the distance. We look at the galaxies, but there's nothing there. It's just a mirage. When we see a star, we see it as a photon. When we observe with our telescopes, we see its matter state. In that photon is instant. In that matter state, when it comes out, times, it needs space and time, and why is a ray and why is a photon, why creates different dimensions. And sometimes we partially see both at the same time, because part is matter state information in the matter state of brain, and partially is the energy state of the soul, looking at the same object. This is how when you stand in front of the person, you see the soul through your soul, but you see their physicality through your eyes. You say they've got the wrong intention, you feel it, or they are sincere, because you have learned to match the two. And then you understand in deeper state of matter. Then you understand in a deeper state of energy. Then you understand why we brought the macro system into operation from the beginning. And I kept on telling you, you're looking at the crumb. The cake is on the top. You're happy to collect the leftover, what is there, but you don't look at the top when it's there. Out of you all knowledge seekers, over years you've been playing with Bagraph system, only one person came near to understand the power of it, and it was John Blevin. The rest you look for crumbs. And he showed you again and again. He walked between the Bagraphs. He sent somebody outside 200 yards away to measure the fields. He stood on the fields and levitated. And you never understood. It was the soul balancing that created levitation of the body. As knowledge seekers, we've given you enough tools to be able to survive the span of the universe. As a humans, you're lousy. In the field of the knowledge of space, you become very clever if you understand how to handle it. I was told, you know, Mr. Keshe is humiliating, keep on telling us you don't understand. Because it's not that you're stupid. Because you don't understand the work of the universe. You only understand the work of the planet Earth and physicality. Look at the churches and try to unravel their work. And one day man will study, pick up the churches with these windows and study the illnesses in the distance their bell could be heard, and see what diseases they didn't have. I put the glasswork and the bell hidden in the posters, hidden in the salt, hidden in the magnet system, as you don't understand the totality of the knowledge. When you get one of these soaps, when you get one of these courses, when you get the Ganses from the Keshe Foundation, you have to match your soul with it, not take the physicality of it. Well, the Japanese scientists, much earlier on in the last centuries, showed how the intention changes vibration in the water. If you had good intention, the water showed. If you had a bad intention, the water showed. And he's put it down graphically. And man as a man is made of 90% water. But man as energy is equal to the energy of the Creator. Which can convert that energy into the dimension of water of physicality to change the man. Now you understand why, as I said before, we started teaching this way. We start explaining about yourself. Now I start for you to understand the work of the universe. And the knowledge is not new. And I've said many, many times, go back past 10, 11 years of teaching, we've given this knowledge to man many times. But those days was just the village and the town, and well, they could give to another, to become the next magician in another village. So I take some of your income because I showed you the trick. Isn't this the way Vatican works? Isn't this the big mosque work? We show you the trick, but what you take in your parish, some comes to us. Licensing through religion, by the name of the church, by the name of the holy place. Look at the scripts, look at the tree of Adam, look at the tree of everything else in Torah, in Islamic world, and everything else. It's one big magic show. The ones who couldn't understand it, they have added other bits to it to do it, and the ones who understood it, they changed it. Knowledge is free. Understanding it costs a lot. How you interpret, how you understand the knowledge is the key. Not that the knowledge is there. As my grandfather used to tell me, there is no difference between you and a donkey. You see donkeys, because in olden days, when we were young, donkeys used to come with a big sack on their back on two sides. One side was newspaper and one side was salt. You had papers or newspapers or books you gave to the man, he weighed it, and he gave you an equal amount of salt. And he said, there is no difference between you and that donkey. That donkey does not understand what book has been given to, carries on your back, and you carry it in your bag going to school. You have to understand the essence of what's in that bag, what's in that book. Not to remember it because it's there. And it's the same with the whole of humanity and just the whole of universe. Understand the knowledge. Just don't carry the knowledge like a donkey. Those days used to be books, now it's microchips and apps. But the same donkey. Understand the intricacy of the knowledge in the energy level. You become man of space. Work with the dimension of the matter state, you stay man and you fight for every breath. The technology, the knowledge of creation has been given to man centuries ago, thousands of years ago. But as I said, it was the man who understood village to village. Now we give that knowledge to every man because now the line of communication is open across the universe. You have people in Brazil, some people in Africa, some of you in Australia, in China. You're all getting the knowledge at the same time. There is no franchise called churches and mosques and the rest of it. This is the reason why income of the religions are never taxed, because the man who made the governments and the kings had to pay to them to find out about the secrets of creation, and most of them never understood. And they created green cups, yellow cups, and the rest of it. Make yourself a small homework. Find these churches, find these classes, and then go on the internet and one of the highest diseases and lowest diseases in the area of this church. Then you understand what Rockefellers and the Illuminatis stole from you when they took the bill out. They took your health, and with it they took your wealth. Wealth of knowledge, and nothing else. This is part of the structure of you in the universe. Interaction of the man in the universe. Look at every single one of these pictures. He has a center. Always comes to a center and depends on the dimension of that center. That center is the creator. And whatever you see is the light that radiates equally amongst men. That's the meaning of these. And this is why when you make the frequencies in the water, the center always comes to the radiation of the fields, and the rest is matter of state to show how it's been radiated. When man becomes knowledgeable and looks at the universe, you will see the same patterns. And from the pattern of the universes, you know what kind of creatures live in these structures. What to expect. And the closeness of that, according to these structure of universes or from fields, how close is that mentality, type of life in that universe to the Creator. Behavior of the man. You find the most disturbed churches, the most disturbed mosques, people of animal behavior, but trying to be religious, is where rivers, waters runs on the churches and the mosques. And you find men of war, men of anger, men of conflict pray in these places. Running water on the churches create disturbance in the emotion of the man and not the woman that much. Now you even understand how the interaction of the fields of the creation with the soul of the man creates that infested behavior of the man. You find yourself disturbed in the house, you find a disturbed house, always conflict and war, doesn't matter on which floor you live. Look what's beneath it, what creates it. 99% there is a river running under and affects men more than women. Why they build the churches on the top of hills and mountains? Those who lived in Italy understand. Those who live in Germany and Austria and others pay for it. This is where those who understood in what we call the Roman time and before the time of whatever, you'll see that wherever you go in the world, cities, villages are made by the side of rivers, creating disturbances continuously. Rivers will run into these rivers and everything else. That's where the water is and where you live. Italy is the only country in the world which builds its villages and cities on top of the hills and mountains. To keep away, when the people build these places, they understood when you go to any city, old ancient time of Italy, they always said they build their cities on top of the hills and mountains that they can see what's happening around them. But they kept away from any rivers, that it doesn't touch emotion. Look where Da Vinci worked. Which villages he went from city to serve. When you travel next time across Italy, see why all the castles and everything and the villages is on the top, because they drilled a hole 2, 3, 400 meters down to the waterbed that it doesn't affect them. Those who built the churches on top of it, monasteries on top of it, understood the knowledge of fields. And the man looked at the place of the building. In a way, when you hear that bell, not now, but in the past, being on the top, the whole environment was purified from certain conditions. Then you ask yourself why there is always had 2 or 3 bells, big one and the small ones, and they rang together. They were purifying the fields of the soul of the man, and not the physicality of the man. The man heard the noise of the bell, the soul received the energy of the bell. Man looked at the food, the soul received the energy to become the food. Now you understand how the teachings of past years come together. Up to now, we taught you about the dimension of the physicality, the books, the macro. Now you have to learn about the dimension of energy. One cannot live without the other. I hid this knowledge in the form of cup of lives to interact with the fields, but in fact, if you look at it, the interaction of the nanomaterial with the matter, nanomaterial gives the radiation, the matter stops it. So it creates a resonance and creates a field that matches the virus. That is the twinity to it, that it drains it. Try to understand the science of the creation. And then you decide, you want to work in the world of energy, or you want to work in the world of the matter, or you want to bring the two together. There is no coincidence and there is no dream. It's understanding one to apply it in the other. Understand the difference between the photon and the ray. When you are the light, when you are the matter energy felt. And then you can explain this to the scientists of the top universities of the world. This is the common denominator. Light goes through you. You cannot, you say that it behaves like a particle or like a photon. Then you don't look for neutrinos because you change your emotion, your body receives the same energy, you see the flash of light. That's the neutron of enlightenment. But you say, I had a dream and I think that way. Then you understand the purpose of the teaching. This time we don't hide anything. You have to be clear in separating the two dimensions, manifestation or transition. Manifestation is in a matter state, transition is the energy which one day will manifest itself, but at this moment it's just traveling. That's why in the matter state you travel, in the energy state you transmute, because somewhere down this line of transmutation you're going to manifest yourself, and in that point is the destination. And if you're clever enough, you can change it and move to another place if you go to its energy. Once you understand the separation, once you understand the totality of the knowledge, then you understand there's a lot to learn about the universe, about the behavior of universe, how these lights interact with each other, what's the outcome, what's the responsibility of you bringing the yellow light to the green light or the whatever other color you see in the universe. To teach you about the interaction of the lights is my job. To teach you the ethos of the interaction of light is Mitra's daughter's job. It's you who have to wait for his manifestation. She's beautiful. She has the knowledge. But she will not teach you with the word of the man. He teaches you through the soul of the man. Then you have to understand what means what in which dimension. Energy or manifestation. Try to understand the separation between the two and do not call one dream and one reality, which in fact the true meaning of it is your dream is the reality, because the energy comes through it and physicality just manifests what has come through. I made man in the image of myself, as I am the energy and the light, not the physicality of the man, otherwise I'll be the whole lot solidified. It's not that you don't understand, it's that you decided that I deliberately ignore it because it suits me better in the physical dimension. Then you understand more about dimension of existence and how, by the interaction of the fields, you create a vibration which leads to manifestation. When you interact the emotion of love, and you get the same emotion from another emotion of love, you fall in love, lead to creation of better life between the two. And if you understand that your soul is one lover and the creator the other, how you nourish this light, how you nourish this emotion, this energy brings you to be closer or further for you in respect to him, not for him to be to you. In the future teaching, I'll show you the dimension of interaction of the fields in the energy level and how you use these to transmute and you use these to manifest. You got to understand the dimension of totality. You have to understand the dimension of reality. You have to understand the dimension of movement of man as a matter state, the dimension of movement of the man in the energy state. I saw a picture from the meeting of last week in what we call the session in Austria. And I saw one of the knowledge seekers, one of the participants, had a jar of something on top of the Maghreb system, which they had the Trinity system. I wonder what happened to that water. Was that water drank? Or did you wash your face and head with that water? Drink it and see what energy you feel. Wash your head, which contains your soul within it. See what the enlightened you receive. Don't forget that water comes from intention between you and what you absorb, what you decide to receive. In reality, Nowadays it's easier to explain. You, in the dimension of physicality, are in the new cars which is becoming fashionable. You see it in the passenger seat, and there is nobody when you hold the driver's seat and the wheel. But you decide where to go with the voice, and the car takes you to destination. The physicality of the passenger seat is your physical life. And that emptiness on the chair which takes you around is your soul. It's you who decide the destination. And the soul will take you to that because that's what you deserve, that's what you decided to be. Very soon, in these vehicles, you will not see any more dashboards and you will not see any steering wheel because none of you knows how to drive anymore. You don't need a driving license to be a passenger. You have to understand the work. You sit in the car, you think I want to go to the place, you don't even need to talk and the vehicle will take you to that point and place. Systems are getting developed to that effect. Now you have to learn in the dimension of physicality, you are that passenger. In the dimension of soul, is the vehicle will take you to destination. You have to decide. Has no steering wheel, has no clutch, has no brake, and if it breaks down, you're stuck. This is you who breaks down in understanding the knowledge of the creation. And that's why you got stuck as man on this planet. In the coming time, as we develop in technologies, you will have these dynamic, plasmatic, what you call microchips, which have no dimension, have more liquid, and then they have emotion. That's the time when man will be a slave to those. Because your brain is locked into confirmation and the features which he has as a matter state. But that computer is dynamic and is liquid and it can change to any position, dimension it likes according to the emotion of totality. Maybe you understand the picture I put in the book where you see different layers of ganses and I said you see they stack different, but the information is the same. The solidity, rigidity of the brain of the man has its limitation and in dimension of the emotions which man doesn't understand. And when you go in the dimension of fields, when you look at the ganses, when you look at the new microchips which will come, which no physical dimension of soldering but connection through emotion, then man will become a slave to computers. Unless you work through your soul. In a way, this is what we do with you with the introduction of the headset. The way we work with you with the introduction of the microphones and the headsets of your Apples and others, or the cosmic ray bundles and the communication systems we provide. Again, with those earphones from Apple, you work in the dimension of physicality and the energies of it. A lot of problems, but this you're learning. You work through the dimension of the headphones which you give, there is no limitation. You're connected to any dimension. In the coming time, I'll show you how your emotion works and how you have ignored that emotion and how your emotion brings things in the dimension of totality in your own operation, in your own dimension, in your own understanding, and totality of the whole structure. I try to show you something very interesting, which it might bring you some knowledge. And we used to show you magnets and magnets and the rest of it. I'll show you something very interesting. This is a data from you lot in the last Friday session, one of your groups. And then you see how we even see your intentions. It's very interesting if you understand it. And then if you don't, you're in trouble because you need in the future to understand it. If you go into what I call dimension of the work in the past few weeks, which we showed you, you see very interesting points with each one of you in the session received different instruction. You received different orders what to do, and not two were the same. But interesting enough, what is for us very interesting is how what you call the soul of physicality, we call it to you what we call emotion dictates the reaction. And in a couple of occasions in the session, we clearly see who and how you bring things in and how you play it and how your emotion dictates the condition of your physicality. What does this mean? It means you panic and you get a downfall. You work and you understand it, it brings you very, very easily the next process, which is you in the reality of the dimension and in a very much how you lot in your whatever condition your emotions controls your what I call physicality. What does this mean? You lot together, you're in the session, one of you panics because can't accept what is going through with. Recording in progress. And then you have, or you, as we say, hit a problem. What does that problem mean? This problem means that you have, or you entered, or you feel the what you call the others. So when one of you panics, the whole lot of you go into panic, or you get a disconnection. Let me explain to you this way. You have to find this that I can connect to it with you, that you can see it, because this is part of the knowledge sharing and part of that's what you have to understand. This is one of the unique features or cases which we had, and it's interesting how you as knowledge seekers respond. Let's play the game. By now you're familiar with this. To you it's just bunch of lines, but I open this for you. The green, which is on the upcoming from the top, which means now You're going into the dreamland. It's coming up. The red or purple is the soul of physicality. Yellow is your physicality. The blue is the average energy you're taking from the environment and what you give out, so you're in balance. What's interesting about this is, watch this. You lot, or people in this group, panic at this point. The emotion puts you on a nosedive. But your emotion, soul of physicality, is still in control on top. Even covers your physicality, which is this line. So the whole commotion of you coming out of the, what you call your dream or transmutation, is this panic point. If you go further into this to understand, you see this regularly in the sessions which we have with you. One of you panics, everybody else pays for it. But what is interesting is this, what we see usually as pattern of your souls, energy of the souls. The soul of the man, physicality, transition between one to the other. This is what you receive from above, you're connected to. And what you see feeding here with your physicality. In this session, you see it, you're everywhere. But two clear points. What is interesting is this session. Let me clear it out that you see it. For the first time, we see this. And we see concentration. And other pictures of this will give you a very nice indication. What does this do? Why you have this? If you're in a session, you're all going everywhere doing whatever you're doing. Here. Here is where I came in and I said, come and meet me. I gave you a reference point. And within the seconds, we saw the manifestation of receiving fields. And this is one of the reasons in all the sessions, if you look, my phone is totally disconnected, that I have no interference with you lot. In the past, when we had the daughter of Mitra with you, this will be totally different. Because this moves to here intensively because you receive through the soul. In the future, I'll show you the pictures. Now, connection of the fields of the man to physicality of man is a science. Is not anymore talk. And in understanding this, have a look at this. If you understood the other one, you can see how every change in the motion of the man, the group is strong, can hold, can override. And what do you see? Again, the minute the emotion comes into it, you see the panic and the change, and you see it. Soul of physicality and emotion of the man, which is a connection between the physicality and the energy, dictates the manifestation of the physicality and how much soul needs to give to it to be able to maintain the physicality. But there are one or two interesting points which, if you look at this graph, if you understand it, it actually sits in a point where we know you have transmuted. How do we know you have transmuted? In some of the graphs which we'll show you in the future, is this. This point, if you look at it, is the most important point, where the soul of physicality and the soul of the man interact, or soul of physicality reaches to be within the soul. This is the time you have no physicality. This is the how we know how many of you or in which group has gone through transmutation. And this last session, we saw it clearly in 2 or 3 occasions. This is a reach out to go. This is holding on to fear. If you look at this, you see something in this very first picture. If you go there, you see it. At the point where the soul of physicality and the soul of the man meet. And we know you transmuted. Look at the struggle in going through transmutation here. And look at this. We know some of you achieved. Always said in the teaching, when you transmute, the soul of physicality goes within. When you have physical transfer, the soul of the man is within the soul of what you call physicality. Now you understand. Now what we said were past teachings, you see it, and this is from you, not from us. This is the picture of your energies, not us. You see here, you clearly see the position of soul of physicality and the soul of the man reaching each other. So we know some of you have transmuted. Then the reality is, the whole purpose of the teachings is for you to understand how to live in both worlds, this and this, and know when to switch. If you understand this in more detail, it's very simple. You come in from a dimension of totally physical, and now you go into the dimension of the soul energy. With you, you call this the dreamland. And to you, this is a reality. Try to understand the science and don't get baffled by the energies. Try to understand you live both lives. You just only need a little bit of direction. In the next session of the March, we try to take you to that position. You have to understand how fields move, what's the purpose of the fields. And if you understood this picture, you go back in understanding very clearly why I kept on telling you your emotion controls everything. It's not just that gives you love. If you know what energy of the emotion you use in the dimension of physicality, you can transmute. Emotional transmutation is unknown to man, but man lives with it. Call it a dream. And this is our job to teach you how. And this is where, as I said many times before, there are new emotions that man is not aware of because has never been given a chance to understand or come in touch with. Emotional transmutation is one of the most important emotions man will carry. It's much more stronger than even that love. Because it's the love between your physicality, your soul of physicality, and your soul. Nobody can buy it. Nobody can change it except you. We are not a cult. We are not a religion. We have no temples except the temple of the knowledge of the Creator to be created within the soul of the man or any creature in the universe. We don't build our temples on the street and we don't give them vibration and bells. We build it in the soul of the man. And that's the church of knowledge, creation, and the universe, and nothing else.